Welcome to the Box Score, brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team. Terry Collins along with Murphy Fair. And Murphy, week number 2 in the books.
It's somebody needs to help us put the brakes on. It's going to be playoff time before we can turn around twice.
Looking at the Watertown at Gordonsville, that was our looking at the KFC Taco Bell of Gordonsville and Smithville stats of the week. Watertown a big win. Murphy, I think the thing that jumps out to me, 53 rushes, 248 yards. They just, attempted one pass the entire game. That's just saying, hey, our offensive line is coming to play, and they did that.
Yeah, it's about a 6-yard average, a 5-yard average there on the rushing thing, and like you said, only one pass, and Gordonsville threw 17. Unfortunately, they only completed 6 and 2 to the other team.
Right.
So that's something I know they're going to have to work on a little bit better.
Of course, we'll look at our highlights in a minute, but when you look at Watertown's defense, very opportunistic. They had 4 turnovers in the game,
right.
2 fumble recovers, Murphy, and we saw the week before with Watertown, but Caden West, the quarterback, just an outstanding job running the football. I mean, he only passed for 5 yards, but he ran the ball well for them. And their offensive line, coached by Ben Silcox, a former Owl player, just stepped up to the challenge and really did good things for the Purple Tigers.
The only thing I saw on the stat sheet right there that I know Coach Webster wants to watch and work on is penalties. They had 8 for 70 yards, and I'm sure that's way too many in his mind if you're going to win a lot of football games.
Look at Caden West, the quarterback, 27 rushes, 143 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Kwame C, 11 rushes for 35 yards. And then Garner Cresswell had 25 yards as far as rushing and 1 receiving. But then he had the interception return for a touchdown on which was Watertown's second touchdown of the game. Then 2 forced fumbles. That's a big night for Cresswell.
70 penalty yards and 4 turnovers. That won't win a lot of football games.
When you look at Albritton for Gordonsville, 6 of 17, a couple of interceptions, 83 yards, a touchdown. Bryson Greer, 11 rushes for 80 yards. He had 1 reception. Greer, just a big, good athlete for Gordonsville. He also plays defensive end, and with the absence, of Musgrove, Kane Musgrove for them out due to injury, Greer goes to the backfield and does some good thing for the Blue and White Tigers.
I know Coach Jackson's got to be thinking, what have I done wrong? What am I not doing that I need to do to get us back in the win column? But I think at the end of the season, when they look and see what kind of a year Watertown had, what kind of a year Smith County had, a lot of teams are going to lose to those 2 right there, and I know Stephen will do a good job, he and his staff, of getting that turned around. They play Oliver Springs this week, a team that is struggling in the win column. They've got a new coach also. I think Coach Larry Green has stepped down. That'll be an interesting one that I think Gordonsville gets some momentum as they prepare for the regional schedule.
And I think it's just been a matter of the size and the line in their first 2 games against the Purple Tigers and the Owls, Murphy, have been a big key. And that's something you just can't, say, okay, we're going to have size and have size. You have to play the kids that you have, and I think that's been something that other teams have taken advantage of in these first 2 games.
Well, they're playing much larger schools too, right. And that makes a difference when you got more kids to pick from. We're not playing down the Gordonsville players at all. They know what tradition's all about. They know what winning's all about. And that program will get itself turned around here really quick, I think.
Let's look at some highlights from the Purple Tigers over at Turney Ford Field. First, we're going to see the quarterback, Caden West, going over to right tackle for a touchdown. I think that was the first touchdown of the game. And then you see Cresswell right here stepping in front of a little screen pass out there. And he goes the distance to give the Purple Tigers a 14-0 lead. Then the Gordonsville Tigers get on the board to make it 14-7 there in the 3rd quarter. And then Albritton hits Hancock in the back of the end zone, a little go route for a touchdown. And that was some of the highlights of the game, and looked like a tremendous crowd and a great atmosphere over at Turney Ford Field last Friday night.
Those kids that are on the screen for DTC during the regular season and whatever we can get out of the playoffs, I hope they realize how lucky they are to be able to be on the screen like that every weekend. Those are some pretty great moments for those kids, and we need to. I don't know if we are or not, but we need to make sure we put our cameramen up on the screen every once in a while because they do a great job.
They do, and they're the unsung heroes, just like Justin and Nick behind the scenes here for us. You see us every week, but they're the one that totes the mail. And
they need the credit.
They're the blue collar.
That's right.
They are the blue collar. Let's go ahead and look at DeKalb County at Smith County. DeKalb County on the final play of the game gets a 31-yard field goal from Juan Ortega, the freshman, to win it after the Owls went for it on 4th and 2 at their own 40. Steve Trapp, an effective game, 8 for 12, 56 yards. Those rushing yards are skewed because I think he had 3 snaps over his head that resulted in 30-something yards lost, so he would have had 70 yards had he not had to. But Kobe Barnes, an offensive line, Murphy, 21 rushes for 101 yards and a touchdown. He also had a receiving touchdown. That was the difference. They held the time of possession. They won that battle, and I felt like that was probably one of the keys of the game.
Obviously, they controlled the line of scrimmage, and when you look at the size of that Smith County line, that speaks volumes,
right,
that they were able to have a 100-yard rusher against a line that, if everyone's healthy, averages over 300 pounds.
When you look at the game stats, it was like 264 for Smith County game and around 201, 202 for DeKalb. But still, the Owls struggled in the passing game, 2 of 10 for the freshman Caden Powell. And to be honest with you, 5 or 6 of those were dropped. And he had 9 rushes for 57 yards. Jameson Keeley got the initial scores we'll see for the Owls here in a minute. 5 rushes for 54 yards and a touchdown. But overall, you look back at stats, 31 rushes, 233 yards, which is nearly 7 yards a rush, but yet the Owls lose the football game.
Yeah, and I think when we look back at the end of the season, this Caden Powell kid, I heard a lot of people talking about him on that Gordonsville game, and how cool and calm and collected he was out there for a 9th grader. He's a tough kid to bring down to be a freshman, and throws the ball pretty well. Like you said, there were some drops, and that's going to happen. But I think Smith County football is on solid ground, and they're going to be fine the rest of the year.
Let's look at some highlights from the Owls and the Tigers. First, we're going to look at Keeley moved back to the backfield. He's kind of like a bull in a china shop. He just keeps his legs moving and just kind of gets in there.
Yeah, he knew where that last white line was, right, didn't he?
And now we've got Caden Powell. The game was tied at 7-all. He finds a wide open Riley Lawler. Tight end gets in. So 11-11 to go in the first half. The Owls go up 14-7. And then here's the third quarter. They find Barnes. Barnes scoots in 14-14. And then here's Ortega's game-winning 31-yard field goal on the final play of the game. There was 4.1 seconds remaining. He kicks it. He hits it, and DeKalb wins it.
He ran to the sideline so fast they didn't have a chance to put him on their shoulders, right, and carry him off.
Which is a win. Let's go ahead and look at Cannon County at Cascade. Cascade gets the win, 20-14 over the Lions. Connor Huey, 27 rushes for 200 yards, 3 touchdowns for the champions. And then for Cannon County, Ryan Perkins, a big day, 22 rushes, 193 yards, a couple of scores. Let's go ahead and look at some highlights from that game. Of course, that was down in Bedford County in Cascade. Ryan Perkins, a 22-yard run, and Murphy, he is the big weapon, maybe the leading weapon for the Lions this year.
Yeah, he had that 421-yard game last year, put him number 10 on the all-time list of high school football ball carriers. But he's got a good line in front of him also. There's some great size up front, a couple of kids that are being looked at by college scouts, and I think the Lions are going to they're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. They got into the playoffs last year. I look for them to get there again this year. They were 0-2 this time last year. They've got a formidable foe this week over in Dunlap. Sequatchie lost some games last year because of the COVID thing, and Cannon County. Got my mind on Carthage, it seems like. But Cannon County's got their hands full this week, but we'll find out in about, 3 more days,
right,
how all that shakes out.
Dustin Keller with an interception for Cannon County, but they lose a close one to Cascade at Cascade, 20-14. We'll have more when we return. It's your watching the box score.
There's no shortage of real estate companies out there, but there's only one Blackwell Realty and Auction. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction has the knowledge and the experience necessary to help you. They understand that real estate sales happen because of the hours of work they put into every sale, whether representing you as the buyer, the seller, or both. Get started today the Kirby way. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction. Call them today or visit blackwellrealtyandauction.com.
If you're a commercial driver looking for a company to call home, Huff and Puff Trucking is the company for you. Our employees are professional and dedicated individuals that take pride in what they do. We offer an outstanding pay package with a dispatch structure that maximizes your home time. To learn more about a company that knows you by name and treats you like family, call us at 1-800-965-5033 or visit our website at huffpufftrucking.com.
2 delicious options, 2 convenient locations. So make the entire family happy with just one stop to KFC Taco Bell. Located at 501 Gordonsville Highway in Gordonsville and 105 East Broad Street in Smithville, we've got you covered at KFC Taco Bell, no matter the food craving. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead, get in the car and kick that hunger to the curb with a quick visit to KFC Taco Bell. Located in Gordonsville and Smithville. Stop by today.
At DTC, we're proud to provide the communication and entertainment services you need to get the most from today's technology.
Earn a $25 bill credit for you and $25 for your favorite local school when you add or upgrade internet service or TV with DTC.
Get the technology you want, backed by local customer service from neighbors you know and trust. DTC Communications, your total communications provider.
And welcome back to the box score. Murphy and I are going to look at some scores. We want to thank Sonic of Carthage for sponsoring this segment for us. I know when you look at some of these scores, we've already talked about them. Watertown in the Huff Puff Trucking Game of the Week goes to Gordonsville, gets a 28-13 win. McEwen over Joe Burns. Clay County, without its defensive coordinator, Jimmy Maynard, who's out with COVID, goes and gets a big win over Clinton County, Kentucky, 53-0. And the Bulldogs of Red Bull and squeaked by 28-27.
It's a big win against Tennessee Heat, kind of an all-star team, if you will, homeschooled, but the wins come very seldom for Red Bulling, so anytime they get to be in the win column, it's a big deal, and I know those kids have got to be happy.
After the Region 4 1A scores, we'll take a look now at the Region 4 2A scores. We see again Watertown over Gordonsville. Upperman, a big win against Strasville County. I think they were up 42-0 at half. And win that thing 49-8, Murphy.
Yeah, Upperman's very, very strong, and Trousdale a very uncharacteristic off-season, if you will, as far as returning talent. They had a lot of really good senior football players last year, and the Yellow Jackets are stumbling a bit right now.
Well, I was going to say, and that's something I think Coach Satterfield will get straightened out. Big win for Macon County in Lafayette. They beat their big rival Westmoreland 20-15. So Kyle Shoulder sitting there at 2-0 after going to the Plains and beating the Burris.
Yep.
When I say the Plains, Cross Plains over to East Robertson, beating them 43-33. He gets 2-0 with a win over Westmoreland.
And that's a big win. East Robertson off to a really good start this year, despite that loss. And I didn't realize until I did a little research. The coach, Chase Brooks, was Mr. Football 10 years ago when he was playing. So he's riding the ship, if you will, in Cross Plains, and I know they've got to be excited over there for sure.
Got some awful good athletes. I think they'll will tangle with Trousdale County a little bit later. Whites Creek over Glencliff, Harpeth over Cheatham County, East Robertson over White House Heritage. Go ahead and look at some more Sonic of Carthage Region 4 3A scores. Cascade over Cannon, Lookout Valley over Community. Nolensville, a big win over Giles County. Murphy, that's 2 heavyweights going at it.
They don't have just good young baseball players over there. They've got some pretty good football players too, and Coach Derrick does such a great job. He gets a lot out of his kids, and that's evidenced because we've seen some big scores from Giles County in years past.
Looking at Tyner over Grundy, and then probably the surprise on the board there, Murphy. 97 total points. Quatchie County wins it 50-47 gunslinger.
Fans had a great game to watch, like a tennis match, probably more than a football game.
Let's go ahead and look at Region 5 3A. Some scores: DeKalb, big win in Carthage. East Nashville keeps rolling 42-7 after beating Father Ryan last week. And East Nashville, no doubt, the pick of the crop in Region 5 3A again.
I'll tell you what, if they beat a Division II AAA team in Father Ryan, and they beat a pretty decent 6A Stewart's Creek team, East Nashville as a 3A team is a force to be reckoned with this year again.
And Maplewood gets a big win over Republic. Of course, that's where Smith County will travel to, Maplewood. Right there coming up on Thursday night. You got Overton over Stratford, and then York gets a win over Jackson County. Of course, that is a former Class AA district clash back in the day.
Sure.
But York, gets the win over the Blue Devils.
The fact that York won the game doesn't surprise me. The fact that they won it as big as they did does surprise me, and I really didn't see that one coming. York has struggled a little bit at the 2A level. They had a pretty good senior class last year, but they got the ship righted against the Blue Devils anyway.
Let's go ahead and look at some more scores from Region 4 4A. We talked about DeKalb County over Smith County, Upland over Trousville, Macon over Westmoreland. Monterey, a little bit surprised at the margin of victory. Not that Monterey won, but 33-0 over Cumberland County. Cumberland County, a much larger school, but a school that's real close. When you look, only probably 15 miles, 16 miles separating those two squads.
Exit 317 and Monterey's exit 300, I think. Right. So you're right on there. Yeah, I don't think who won any of these games surprised me, but the margin is probably the biggest difference there. Stone Memorial kind of coming to life a little bit because East Ridge had a pretty good win either in week one or well, it had to have been week one. So obviously things are working up there on that side of Crossville anyway.
Right. Looking at Cookville 27-7, of course, Stone Memorial's exit is the Bucky's exit, I think. So people are turning and going to there versus to see the Panthers. Let's go ahead and look at some other scores. Lebanon, a big win over Wilson Central. Oakland over Madison Ridgeland Academy. Mississippi Beach over Henry County. Maryville over Powell. Another score that's not up there, but was a surprising one to me. I got to actually watch it. Was David Lipscomb going to the Class 7A champ in Alabama, in Alabaster, and beating Thompson, who had won 3 straight 7A titles. Murphy, that's a little shocking.
Pretty impressive, as was Gary Rankin and his Boyd Buchanan football team. They came to Davidson Academy this past weekend in Nashville, and they had won 2 or 3 state championships in recent years. And Gary and his Boyd Buchanan football team won by about 3 touchdowns, I think. Right. So that one, not the win, but the margin of win.
You've been looking at the Sonic of Carthage scores. Let's go ahead and look at some games upcoming. Region 4 1A, we talked about Oliver Springs at Gordonsville, Joe Burns at Red Boiling, open date for Clay County.
Yeah, I think all the teams that are listed on the right side of the screen, including Red Boiling, get a win this week.
Wow. All right, let's go ahead and look at Region 4 2A, Whites Creek at Harpeth, East Robertson at Trousdale County, Watertown at Westmoreland, and those bottom 2 games, Murphy, should be good ones.
I think so, and I wouldn't be surprised if Harpeth gets a win too. They're 2-0 right now, and I think that's almost as many games as they won all year just 12 months ago. So that team's kind of coming around a little bit. I think East Robertson probably gets the better part of Trousdale County. It's a tough place to go to win, but the Yellow Jackets have been stumbling a bit, and East Roberts seems to be red hot. And then that last one there, that could go either way, I think. Whoever puts the ball on the ground the most times probably comes away the loser in that one.
Let's go ahead and look at Region 4 3A games coming up this week. Giles County at Grundy County, and then Cannon County at Sequatchie County, and then the open date, the team from Unionville, which is Community High School.
Yeah, they've got Cannon County here in a couple of weeks, I think, but nonetheless, I think Giles County wins that first game. I think, unfortunately, I think Sequatchie probably wins at home, and then, as you say, Community with an open date.
Region 5 3A, of course, Smith County going to Maplewood on Thursday night. Stratford at East Nashville in what should be a very one-sided affair. And then Sale Creek travels to Gainesboro to play Jackson County.
Yeah, Smith and East Nashville should both win, and Jackson County, I think Sean desperately needs a win to get that ship turned in the right direction. And since they're playing at home, it'll be interesting to see if the Sale Creek buses can find Gainesboro or not. It's a pretty good little trip.
Right, straight up 111. Region 4, 4A. This will be the final one we're looking at. It's Cumberland County at Upperman. Livingston at Stone, Macon at DeKalb, and that bottom game is one we think will be a crackerjack. I don't know that the other two games, the top two, Murphy will be much, but I think that bottom one in Smithville in a game will be here on DTC Sports. Their Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week should be a great one.
I could sit at home in my lazy boy and watch that game, but it's only about 25 miles from my house to Tiger Stadium, so I'll probably be in Smithville Friday night to watch that one. It should be a great ball game, and I'm like you. I think Upperman and Stone Memorial both win easy.
Don't go Friday night, Murph. You'll miss it. It's Thursday night.
Oh, well, I'll do that then. Thank you.
We'll have an interview with DeKalb County's head coach Steve Trapp when we return here. As we remind you, you're watching the Box Score brought to you by Blackwell Realty and the Josh Kirby team.
There's no shortage of real estate companies out there, but there's only one Blackwell Realty and Auction. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction has the knowledge and the experience necessary to help you. They understand that real estate sales happen because of the hours of work they put into every sale, whether representing you as the buyer, the seller, or both. Get started today the Kirby way. The Kirby team with Blackwell Realty and Auction. Call them today or visit blackwellrealtyandauction.com.
Opioid overdoses continue to claim lives in Tennessee. Naloxone, an opioid reversal drug, can save lives. Call the Smith County Drug Prevention Coalition for a free, quick, and confidential training. Also, if you are struggling with substance use disorder due to your alcohol and drug use, help is only a phone call away. Call the Tennessee Red Line. This project is funded under a grant contract with the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville is hiring. We have open positions for master, certified, and experienced heavy-duty maintenance techs, maintenance supervisor, entry-level and experienced miners and exploration infill drillers, grade operator, electricians, laboratory and metallurgical technician, senior metallurgist, and more. We offer competitive wages, excellent benefits, PTO, holiday pay, exceptional 401k, and lots more. Make the most of your future and your career. Join the excellent team at Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville.
And welcome back to the Box Score, and we've got Coach Steve Trapp of the DeKalb County Tigers with us. And Coach, a big win for your program. You go to Carthage, and after they beat Gordonsville 27-7 6 nights earlier, you go down there and get a big win. Did you feel like you were getting a Christmas present there at the end when it's 4th and 2 and Matt Dyer rolls the dice and comes up snake eyes, and knowing that you had a very effective weapon in your kicker, Mr. Ortega? I know he probably looked like in pregame he could hit it from 40, 45 yards. So you had to feel good once you got the stop that, hey, we don't have to get much yardage to be in range.
Definitely. It was a critical moment in the game. There's a lot of critical moments in that game, but, you know, that situation there, I mean, I don't fault him at all for going for that. I mean, you know, as big as they are and as well as they had run the ball early in the game, then, you know, if they get that, then it's probably a different situation. And, you know, maybe we stop them after that and it goes into overtime. But, you know, 10 yards away from the goal line, I'd say their offense was probably built better for that. But our defense come up huge in that situation, and definitely that was my first thought. As soon as that happened, I was, you know, on the headset just saying, hey, get Ortega ready. And after every play that I called, make sure Ortega's ready. The next play, hey, make sure Ortega's ready. So that was my mindset as the play caller all along. I knew, basically we wanted to be in that, 35 and under range, and he can hit them from 40, but that's where we wanted to be. Had a play up our sleeve that we had tried to run a couple times early in the game and messed it up every time, and that's basically why we called that timeout after that first down. Even though the clock had stopped, I had 3 timeouts and wanted to make sure we got that play correct, and that allowed Briz, I think, to get 15, 16 yards to ultimately put us in position to kick that field goal.
You got to figure your kicker was expecting Smith County to call a timeout, maybe 2 timeouts as they did. But does that really make as much difference as a lot of people like to think it does?
I think he's only played football the last couple of years, last year at the middle school, and he's a great athlete. Like I said, he's got a broken hand right now, so he's pretty much only on kicking duty, but he's a good secondary guy. He plays safety for us. He's a weapon at the running back spot too, but I don't even realize I don't think he realized what was going on, to be honest with you. Just, all the timeouts and things like that. He stayed pretty calm, and, I didn't say a whole lot of stuff to him. Basically all I said, hey, it's just like an extra point. Just kick it the same way you do an extra point, and everything's going to be fine. And, what's ironic about it, on Thursday, when we do our 2-huddle drill or 2-minute drill, we always end it with a spike and run the field goal team out there and kick a field goal. And it's very ironic that Thursday, the last kick we made was 31 yards from the left hash. So, just preparation was there, and that kid works a lot. Since his hand is broke, all he does is kick during practice. So it's just good to see that his work paid off for us.
Coach, when you look at having a freshman in that situation, did that bother you at all? Because, a lot of times, the enormity of the moment, big crowd there, a big ball game, and basically if you hit it, we win. If you miss it, we may lose. That might weigh heavy on a senior player that's kicked for 4 years, but it didn't seem like it bothered him one lick.
It didn't bother him. It didn't bother our team. It didn't bother me. Like I said, as soon as we stopped him on 4th down, I knew, like I said, every play, I was like, hey, just make sure he's ready. Just make sure he's ready. And that, for me, it goes back to, and I've told this to a few guys, in June, I get here about daylight, and, he was here about 30 minutes after me, and he was out there kicking, so, they didn't kick it in middle school or anything like that, but he could have if they wanted to. And, just watching him put his foot on the football, I'm like, this guy's going to be pretty good for us, and we're going to have him for the next 4 years. So, and I told that after the game, he put the work in. He was out here working, and like I said, he broke his hand in the Gornsville scrimmage, but so he's been on doctor's orders not to play offense or defense, but he's been allowed to kick. So all he's been doing for the past 3 weeks and the whole month of June is just kicking. So a lot of confidence I have in him. The team has a lot of confidence. He has a lot of confidence in himself, and he really come through for us the other night.
Coach, you had a chance to see Smith County play against Gordonsville with it being on DTC as the game of the week before. You knew you were in for a battle. Those big guys up front are very formidable, but your kids answered the call. How much of a momentum builder was that for you? Because you've got a big one this week against Macon County.
Yeah, in every interview I did last week, it was all about, well, they're big, and they are big, and they're a good football team, offensively, defensively, got great players all around. But my remark was just, have you looked at our roster? My 2 tackles are 6'5", 6'6". My 2 guards are 280 or better, 6'2", and then my center, he's the smallest one weight-wise, 250, but he might be the most aggressive one we got. So I knew it was going to be a battle. I knew it was going to be a physical contest, but that's the way football is meant to be played. Like I said, for the fans, it was a great game. For me, I think I've got a few more gray hairs now, but, we'll take it however we can get it. I'm just proud of how our guys hung in there. A lot of moments in that game that they could have kind of folded on us a little bit, but we've got a next play mentality, and those guys have bought into it here the first 2 weeks of the year, and just hope we keep playing hard, and I'm pretty confident that we will.
Coach, did it surprise you at all? Of course, Javier Gaspar being out for the Owls, I think helped you as far as, he's kind of a run plugger there in the middle, but your team was effective running the football, and you won the time of possession battle. And when you look at that, you didn't turn the ball over, you didn't have a lot of penalties, and you protected the ball, and I felt like Briz's feet hurt the Owls as much as his arm did, although he had several minus plays on rocket ship snaps that went over his head. But still, overall, I thought the way he managed the game, the way you coached the game, gave you an opportunity to win. I mean, they scored 14 points in the first 13 minutes of the ball game, and then you hold them scoreless the rest of the way.
Yeah, well, I mean, Coach Shaw and our defensive coaches get a lot of credit. Our defense has been playing really well, and we've got a 4-year starting running back. That's a big guy himself. We've got some size up front. We've got a dual threat quarterback. We needed it to be that type of football game, and that was kind of our mindset going in. And maybe a surprise to a lot of people. A lot of people may think of DeKalb County and think it's just all throwing it around and things like that. And we do have that ability. And we may not have a lot of flags, but we got flags at some really bad key moments. We got the turnover and a sudden change opportunity right there, and we run the reverse and we score, and it gets called back, and then it's backed up with a bad snap, and then the other touchdown. It really wasn't designed to work that way, but Malachi is a really good athlete and made something happen out of nothing. But got another flag there that called 2 touchdowns back. We drop a pass that would have probably allowed us to try a field goal right there, another 30-yard field goal. But, we drop a pass when it was 3rd and forever right there after that touchdown got called back. So those moments right there took points off the board, so we want to be cleaner and execute in those situations. But, not turning the ball over and controlling the clock and, doing what we did defensively was definitely a recipe for success for us the other night.
Coach, Terry and I both think this game this week has incredibly large implications. Whoever wins this game, in all likelihood, will be playing at home the first Friday night in November. Tell us a little about Macon County, what you know, and what Kyle Shoulders brings to the table when you all line up together.
Well, it is a big game, and our guys understand what's at stake, but ultimately at the end of the day, we're going to talk to them about it's still simply a football game, so it's about doing what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do it. This game the last couple of years has been a gritty down to the fourth quarter, minute left to go type of game. Last year they got us, the year before we got them in the same type of situation. Last year for us, though, it was, turnovers got us. We had a kickoff return that they had, and, so they had a couple scores that wasn't in their offense. I mean, they run the wing tee, so that's a challenge within itself. But last year we had them under 70 yards rushing, but they hit a couple passes on it. So we just got to make sure that we line up, we do our jobs, and, we execute in all 3 phases of the game. And, don't give up anything cheap or extra or anything like that, and just make them earn everything they got. So it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a great atmosphere, and, definitely it's got a lot of implications on it.
Coach, when you look at Juan Ortega and his accolades from last week, I'm sure when he walked through the hall or after the ball game, got a lot of pats on the back. But, Coach, to know that you've got him after this year for 3 more years, what a weapon.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's my 18th year, and there's been a few times where we've had a kicker for 4 years, Matthew Poss, in which he played secondary wide receiver, and, he was one of our number 1 receivers, but also was lethal at punter and lethal at kicking. And, we've got Juan, like I said, for the next 3 years after this one. He's only going to develop and get better. And like I said, he's also going to make plays for us on the defensive side and the offensive side. I mean, the first game of the year, he had 2 touchbacks on kickoff. We've not had a touchback, it seems like in forever. I mean, legitimately kicking him in the end zone. So his leg just keeps getting stronger and stronger. And he's a humble kid, so he understands that, it's about the work. And if you put in the work, then success will follow. But you can't stop working. That's one of the biggest things with these teenagers. They just, they'll find success or have success and then get a little complacent. So our job as coaches is, just make sure we keep them going through the process of work and understanding that that's ultimately why they were in the situation they were in, and that we've got confidence in him, and he's going to continue to make plays for us.
Steve, I hear a rumor that he may want to move to Cannon County. Any truth to that?
That's not one that I've heard.
Well, Coach Trapp, appreciate you visiting with us. Congratulations on the great start. I know you got to be tickled to win 2 games of 4 points, but a W is a W, Coach. And I know it keeps people for 48 minutes in the stands, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Just like I said, a lot of credit goes to these kids to continue to play, and these coaches that get them, ready to go. And just that mindset to keep battling for 4 quarters. So just really appreciate their effort.
We've been visiting with head coach Steve Trapp of the DeKalb County Tigers. And when we come back, we'll look at the Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week, and we'll get Murphy's picks on some games around the area when we return. As we remind you, you're watching The Box Score.
So, go check it out.
Deterring crime. It's the first job of a home security system from DTC Security. For just $49.99, get a system with a touch keypad, 3 window or door sensors, motion detector, key fob, and standard installation. There's never been a better time to get started. Let us help protect your home.
So?
A lot of nice stuff and an alarm.
Don't delay. Call DTC Security now or visit us online.
Don't be fooled. Vaping is just another way to deliver nicotine to your lungs. Learn the facts and escape the vape. We get it. Quitting is hard, but getting help is easy. Call the Tennessee Tobacco Quit line at 1-800-QUIT-NOW for free counseling and cessation patches. Sign up for the free Tennessee Tobacco Quit line program and let us help you quit for good. This project is funded under a grant contract with the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services.
Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville is hiring. We have open positions for master, certified, and experienced heavy-duty maintenance techs, maintenance supervisor, entry-level and experienced miners and exploration infill drillers, grade operator, electricians, laboratory and metallurgical technician, senior metallurgist, and more. We offer competitive wages, excellent benefits, PTO, holiday pay, exceptional 401k, and lots more. Make the most of your future and your career. Join the excellent team at Nearstar Middle Tennessee Mines in Gordonsville.
And welcome back to The Box Score for the final segment. We've got Murphy Farrell along with Terry Collins, and we want to thank Blackwell Realty and Auction, sponsored by the Josh Kirby team, for sponsoring and being our title sponsor. And Murphy, some good matchups, and not as many, I guess, statewide as we're used to seeing.
This is actually the first major week for regional play all across the state. All the teams, for the most part, had a couple of weeks, a couple of opponents to kind of knock the rust off and hopefully be at their best. And a lot of really good regional matchups, but not anything like Oakland versus Riverdale or, that sort of thing.
Right. Let's look at our Huff and Puff Trucking Game of the Week. It's Macon County at DeKalb County, and that's on Thursday, September the 1st. Of course, Smith County playing that day, so is Westmoreland Watertown. So several games on Thursday. They did that because of a shortage of referees. But Murphy, when you look at these two teams, that could be for a home playoff berth. I think everybody's probably playing for second behind Upperman. That's my guess, and it's just that because we're early in the season, but at least that's what it looks like so far. But still, this could be for second place in Region 4-4A.
I agree wholeheartedly. That's what I mentioned on my statewide radio show, that this is for home field advantage in the first round of the playoffs, I think. I've seen DeKalb live and in person. I have not seen Macon County, but I know they're pretty potent.
Right.
Kyle Shoulders has a pretty good football team that doesn't mind putting points on the scoreboard. And you and I both saw up close and personal what DeKalb County did at Carthage last week.
Let's look at the history of these two schools. Of course, both of them are Tigers, black and gold and blue and white. The series began in 1985. They didn't play from 87 to 90. DeKalb County leads the all-time series 1914. Macon County has a high scoring mark of 62 back in 2017. That came on the road at Smithville. And then only 3 shutouts in the series. Macon shut out DeKalb in 01 and 03, and then DeKalb shut out Macon in 1994. The points per game, dead even, 23-22. And Murphy, I really think this will be a great game.
I think so, and they used to be big rivalries. They still are, but they're not in the same region. But they used to be in District 8 AA together, and that game was always a big one when they played each other.
Murphy, when you look at Coach Steve Trapp and Kyle Shoulders, both like to air it out. Both like their passing game. They like to make you cover them all over the field. Is that what you're looking for here on Thursday night?
Probably so. I'm not real sure what, I am too. DeKalb County had a pretty good sized line, and we all know about Smith County. They had a lot of beef up front, and that kind of size does two things for the offense. Obviously, it gives the quarterback a little extra time to find that open guy. And secondly, if they decide to want to run the ball, they can open a hole or two.
And, that was the big key, I think, in DeKalb County's win over Smith County last week in Carthage, was the fact that that was kind of a stalemate. And I thought DeKalb's guys up front did a good job.
Yeah, they did. They did. And they'll be Macon County is a good football town, just as Carthage and Smithville are, and I look for a really big crowd at that ball game too.
Definitely should be. All right, Murphy, going to put up on the turban. We're going to let you go to work here. Start with the first game we're looking at. Oliver Springs, they're 0-2. Gordonsville's 0-2 coming into this game. They're playing over at Turney Ford Field.
Oliver Springs may be accustomed to being 0-2 in late August or early September. Gordonsville is not. And I think Coach Jackson has had a good week of practice with his kids, and I look for Gordonsville to come out a winner in that one.
Watertown at Westmoreland, that's always been a big rivalry, Murphy, and I look for that to be a great game up in Sumner County.
I agree. If it was a little closer, that's where I'd go instead of Smithville. Westmoreland is a dangerously potent offensive football team, and they can put points on the scoreboard at will. Watertown showed last week that they can too, though. That surprised me a little bit, the number of points they put on the board against Gordonsville. But I'm going to have to pick Westmoreland in that.
Westmoreland coming off a narrow loss 20-15, and I think the one thing that surprised me out of that Watertown game was they only threw one pass all night. They run the ball effectively against Gordonsville, kept the ball away from them, got some turnovers, and didn't turn the ball over much themselves. And I think that was the key the week before when they lost to Fayetteville, 5 big turnovers. So if Watertown doesn't turn it over, I think this will be a great game.
I think so. And if they have 6, 7, 8 minute drives, that doesn't give Westmoreland a lot of time to score.
I know your hometown team, Canyon County, going down to Dunlap to play Sequatchie County, and I've got a good friend in Sequatchie County, and he told me they had a burr under their saddle from last year because they tried to reschedule with Canyon County on several different occasions, and Canyon County said, no, you COVID forfeited us. We're not going to make it up and play 2 games in a week. So effectively, the Lions have now got to travel not only Sequatchie County, who has turf now, but kind of an upset team.
Yeah, I think so. And Sequatchie ended up losing that game because of, as you said, COVID, and consequently was never made up. And consequently, that gave Canyon County a home field game in the first round of the playoffs.
They were the number 2 seed, and Sequatchie wound up 3 in that region. Looking at the Owls on Thursday night, they'll travel to Nashville and take on Maplewood.
Arcente Broom is not at the helm of Panther football anymore. He's moved up the scale a little bit and is now at Nashville Overton. Doing pretty well there too, but Maplewood's program, they lost a lot of kids to other schools, private schools, and there's not any zoning in Nashville anymore. If you start as a freshman somewhere, whether it's all the way across town, you can do that as long as you provide your own transportation. And Maplewood's just not the team it was 5 or 10 years ago, and I have to look for the Owls to win big on the road this week.
Battle of the Tigers in Smithville making that DeKalb.
Boys, it's going to be a battle of turnovers, and whoever turns it over the most is probably going to lose. That one could go either way. I think because they're playing in Smithville, that gives DeKalb a little bit of an edge there, but I don't look for that one to be more than a 7 or 10 point difference.
Well, Murph, that does it for the box score. We want to thank Blackwell Realty and Josh Kirby team for sponsoring for Justin Malden and Murphy Ferry. I'm Terry Collins.